The next thing we can do is we can create a bulleted list with these duties that I had. So what we can do is if you double click in here, um, say I have my box, if I double click in here, it brings my type tool in here. Double clicking gives me one word, 1, 2, 3, 3 gives me a line, and 1, 2, 3, 4 gives me a paragraph. But anyhow, so let's highlight everything all the way down. Remember, we want to get that last paragraph marker, and then we can go up to this default of bulleted list. So let's click on that. Now the bulleted list default in InDesign, I'm not a big fan of it because it shows, it puts the bullets fairly far away from what they're bulleting. So if you ever do use the bulleted list in InDesign, you actually have to adjust it so it looks halfway decent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the type and tabs item, which brings up the type and the tab panel. And so in the tab panel, you see this little triangle here? That's where the bullet is. You see this triangle here? That's where the supervised staff is lined up. And if we want to bring the bullets closer to the supervised staff, it's a two-step process. First, we need to grab this little triangle, got to be really careful, and drag it over so it's closer to where you want to be. Maybe that's too far. Oop. Drag it back a little bit. There we go. Maybe a little bit farther. So you actually bring the bullets closer to the type first, and then you bring everything back over to the edge this way. So that's a little bit better. All right, I'm going to turn this off. The other thing that I like you to be aware of is if you have information that lands on multiple lines, like this one right here, this one right here, this is on 3 lines, this is on 3 lines. If you blur your eyes, you see that each one of these items is equidistant away from each other. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to have each bulleted item be a little bit farther away from the next bulleted item. So we can do that with this process of taking the box with the black pointer and then going to the T tool and then the good old space after right here. So if I highlight this and go 1, 2, 3, 4, now we can see that all of a sudden the individual items are separating, not the lines. So supervised staff and then a little extra space and then attended daily news and then an extra space, assign work to artists. I can even accentuate that even more. We could actually even accentuate that even more by tightening up the leading. There we go. Now you can see a definition between each bulleted item, as opposed to before there was equal spacing between each line and we really didn't see each bulleted item. Now we could do this, or we could also, if you don't like the default of bullets, you could also do option 8 space. That creates a bullet. It doesn't indent it. Option 8 space, like the second line is not indented, so that might be an issue for you. Option 8 space. Option 8 space. Option 8 space. Option 8 space. That's another way of doing it, but then you've got the weirdness of and department and for consistent scheduling and process kind of not lining up with what's above it. So you could Command Z, take all that away, and live with the bulleted item. Or you could actually take this away, no bullets at all, and they stand by themselves because they are separated from one another.